Welcome to Straight Shooting Firearms Talk Show presented by MyGunDiary.com and Drake Fine Sporting Arms of El Paso. With your hosts, Felix and J. Scott Drake. And now, here they are.
Welcome to Straight Shooting Firearms Talk Show. I am your host, Felix Mena. Alongside me, my esteemed colleague, Master Gunsmith, owner and proprietor of Drake Fine Sporting Arms, Mr. J. Scott Drake.
Hi.
What's happening? You are tuned in for the third episode of Straight Shooting, and I just want to let everybody know that Straight Shooting is proudly brought to you by Cerakote Southwest, the only certified applicator in Southwest Texas, specializing in custom Cerakote applications for firearms. With over 120 colors to choose from, visit CerakotesW.com and order a custom Cerakote job for your firearm today. They also offer custom laser engraving and other services, and follow them on Instagram at Cerakote Southwest. And I'm very excited that we're teamed up with them because they are currently working on a Smith & Wesson M&P for the show. They're doing a custom job that's going to have our logo. It's going to
be nice.
Yeah, it's got our logo. And right behind us, you see some of the samples of the work that they do. Beautiful work. Be sure to visit them at CerakotesW.com. And with that, I just want to tell you what we've got lined up for the show today. A really exciting show. As always, we're going to kick things off with guns in the news. Never a shortage of gun news.
No, it's we've got plenty.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff.
We actually have to weed out things that happen throughout the week. That's how much stuff is out there to talk about.
So much, including a homegrown story right here about a woman in Texas who had to shoot a home intruder. We've got a story about a veteran in the state of New York who had his guns confiscated in a controversial manner. We're also going to talk about the hot subject this week is the Sig P320 that people have been saying will fire accidentally if you drop it. So we'll talk about that. And then lastly, in trends, we're going to talk about a trend. I'm not sure I'm with it. I don't know if you are either, but we're going to look at some pictures of some helmet-shaped AR-15 magwells, like a helmet that a knight would wear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I won't tell you what kind of helmet I see when I look at them.
We'll show you some pictures and talk about it a little bit. But first, I just want to send out a shout-out to our good friend, Steven Van Epps, who is responsible for you and I meeting each other, basically.
Yeah. Steven's a good guy. I've worked with him before, and yeah, he's off somewhere right now.
He is currently overseas. He's an active duty soldier. He is a helicopter flight medic, and we just want to wish him well and say hello. Without him, this show might not have been possible. So Godspeed to Steven Van Epps. Hurry home. And then another quick shout out to our number one fan, Andres Rodriguez, who's been here for every single show, and we presented him with a T-shirt to thank him for his loyalty. Very cool guy, and he does knife sharpening.
He's a great guy. He shows up for every one of these things, man.
Yeah. And we wanted to keep coming back, so I applied him with a free
T-shirt. If you got knives that need sharpening in El Paso, take it to Andres.
Yeah, he's really good. You can call him. He doesn't have a website, but call him at 915-219-3358 for his knife sharpening services. And wouldn't that be funny if he just got hammered with a bunch of calls from hot chicks? And then my last comment before we get into the news is I just want to let everybody know, remind everybody that we do broadcast live on Facebook. However, the live Facebook feed is not the actual show.
No, that's us filming ourselves while we film ourselves.
Yes. We want people to have an inside look at the production of the show, but we don't want them to get the wrong impression and think that what you see on the Facebook live feed is the actual show. You got to tune into the YouTube show. You can find the link to the YouTube show through your Facebook page or through my Facebook page or through mygundiary.com. And coming soon, I purchased the name straightshootingshow.com. Yep, so give me a couple weeks. I'm going to work on the design, and when it's all said and done, the idea is you just go to straightshootingshow.com, and boom, there'll be the show. So that's the idea. And with that, it's time to get into the news.
This week in firearms news and current events.
So the first story that we're going to look at today is a story about a woman in Texas who had to deal with a home intruder. And what I found very funny about this clip here that we're going to watch is the neighbor at the very end, her attitude about, she talks about what it's like to the fact that you're living in Texas and how people in Texas, how they deal with home intruders. How would you deal with a home intruder?
However I needed to.
All right, so let's just watch this quick news
I
clip.
heard it was a burglar, and I live in this neighborhood, and that's not like this neighbor.
There she is.
And she's got these bags over her hands, right?
Yeah.
So it must be to preserve, I don't know, some sort of evidence.
Both were armed with pistols. She confronted both suspects. That female then retrieved a handgun and fired several times at both subjects. I understand it's a rental home, but there are several people that live in the home. But this morning there was herself, by herself was in the house.
It's just, you know what, in the state of Texas, if you're going to get on somebody's property, you're going to get shot. That's just the way we are. That's just Texans.
Let me replay that a little bit again. That lady cracks me up.
State of Texas, if you're going to get on somebody's property, you're going to get shot. That's just the way we are. That's just Texans.
She's just too happy to announce to the world that in the state of Texas, if you come on somebody's property, you're going to get shot. Like, I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, apparently these two home intruders came in. They were armed, and she immediately had her, I guess, I don't know if she must have had her firearm close at hand. I keep mine, close to the bed. I keep a shotgun. Well, now I keep a double barrel shotgun. We'll find out why later. But yeah, I keep it close by. But she must have had it close at hand to confront those, or she heard a noise or something like that. But yeah, in the state of Texas, right?
Hey, take your chances, man.
Yeah. Now, this is what I think when it comes to living in a state like Texas, where gun laws are liberal, and it's easy to be a firearm owner, and they respect the Second Amendment. Now, let's say you and I are walking down the street and somebody is walking past us and they bump into us or something like that, right? Usually our people are very polite in the state of Texas. Hey, man, sorry about that, because I think everybody knows
you're probably carrying a gun.
Everybody's probably carrying a gun, so just be polite.
An armed society is a polite society, as they say.
Yes, there's a phrase I heard a long time ago that I really like. The phrase goes, good fences make good neighbors.
Right.
And I think that, an armed society is generally a polite society.
Right.
So, yeah, welcome to the state of Texas. I love living here. All right, the next story that we're going to get to is... This is a sad story, man. This guy, he's an old veteran. He's 70 years old. He lives in the state of New York, and the state of New York passed what was called the New York SAFE Act, which really infringes heavily on people's Second Amendment rights. And part of the SAFE Act allows the authorities to confiscate your firearms. That means go to your home, like they did with this guy, and take your firearms if you are deemed mentally unstable. Now, the question that comes up here is, this was a case of mistaken identity, but the other question that comes up, who's to say? Can you just call the cops on your neighbor? Let's say I'm your neighbor, and you say, hey, my neighbor's mentally unstable. Is that enough?
No, I think in this case, I think it was a court-ordered thing. The problem was that they had a case of mistaken identity. The guy had the same name as the guy they were looking for, but was not the guy.
Yeah. With this, you'll see here in a second, with this guy saying the cops did not even tell him what the reason was.
Right.
And he was...
I've said it before, the cops probably didn't know what the reason why.
Right,
it's just court-ordered, probably some kind of HIPAA violation to tell the cops what the problem was,
Let's watch this clip real quick here.
9:30 at night, and we were watching TV, and all of a sudden the two sheriff cars pulled up with their lights flashing, and the guy actually asked for me. He said, "Are you Donald Hall?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "I got a deposition here that says that you're mentally defective," and be a deposition that they had to take my pistol first, and then they followed me in the house, and so they took every one of the long guns, and they wrote them all down, and they confiscated them too. Well, I don't know why. They must have thought I was really wacky or something, Just better hire yourself a lawyer, because in these cases, you're guilty until you can prove that you're not this Donald Hall. But then when I went to the lawyer, it said mentally defected or refused incarceration. And he says, what they got you charged for, you would know that. And the lawyer sent me to St. Luke's, and Rome Hospital to get a deposition from them that I'd never been treated for any mental health issues. And when we were at the St. E's, the thing is, like with these laws, they should at least come in and say on January 10th, 1989, you did this. Now I got something to go by. I had to flash through my whole life to find out, and They said you can go to a hearing, but you better get a lawyer, because if you don't pass this, or if they don't satisfy the judge with a hearing that you're not this person, you'll never get your pistols back.
So he had to get a lawyer. You know, they came in, it was a case of mistaken identities, they took his guns, and he had to get a lawyer to go to court to prove that he was not the person that they thought he was to get his guns back. And that's the problem with this New York SAFE Act is let's say even he was the guy, but he was, you know, he still needs to prove that he's not right, you know, to get his guns back. I'm not a fan of something like that where they can just come in.
No, I'm not either. And this falls in line with like what we've seen, like the no-fly list. All of a sudden you wind up on the no-fly list. You have no idea what you did. They don't give you a reason. You're on the no-fly list, and now you have to petition the government to get your right back.
It just doesn't make sense. It's one of those things. I'm not politically active. You don't like to get too political either. But if something is a complete injustice, then
I've never seen in this country where you have to petition to get a right back without any justifiable reason of why you lost it in the first place.
Yeah, and what a nice old man too.
Right.
You know what I mean? A nice old guy. I bet the cops even knew when they were going in, like, there's something wrong here. You know, right. I bet they knew. But anyways, I like following stories like that. It's a little upsetting, but we need to keep an eye on it and make people aware of this, that this stuff is going on, so that we can make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right.
Hey, moving on. Now we're talking about the Sig P320, which on the internet this last week, big story. The Dallas Police Department contacted Sig about some defective P320s that were accidentally discharging, and Sig came back and said, nope, you know, the P320 passes all the tests, and some people did an independent test of it and found that the Sig P320 could accidentally fire sometimes if you drop it in a certain way.
Did the Dallas Police Department actually have an accidental discharge because of this?
They must have, right? Otherwise, why would it have come up?
Or was it just something they heard about from somewhere?
That's a good question. Maybe I should do a little investigative journalism,
right,
and get back on that.
Was this just something they heard about and now they're concerned?
Let's get back to everybody on that so that we don't put out bad information.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to look into the original reason why the Dallas Police Department wanted to return them.
Right.
But since then, somebody went ahead and did an independent test, and let's show the video which shows the results of that test.
In the past couple of weeks, we were
going to fast forward to a reaction.
That the pistol be dropped with the bore axis perpendicular to or parallel
He's
to,
talking about
in some fashion,
the original
ground
test,
or the surface which the P320 is being dropped. We found in our testing that the P320 will fire if it is dropped at a certain angle. This angle is not found in any of the previously mentioned drop tests. If the pistol is allowed to drop with the bore in an upward direction and the frame and the slide contact the ground at the same time, the trigger continues to move to the rear and the pistol will fire. We found this result was consistent across calibers, frame sizes, and even different types of ammunition, from duty ammunition from major manufacturers, which supply the majority of the U.S. law enforcement market, to range ammunition and match ammunition.
Okay, so that's the gist of the video, right? They dropped it a few times. They have 3 or 4 different sample Sig P320s. It can have an accidental discharge if you drop it in a certain way. This guy goes on to say he thinks it's a problem with the weight of the trigger.
No, that's not correct at all. I've watched these videos over and over. The trigger is under spring tension. It can't continue to travel back, and not from what I saw in the videos.
That's what I saw.
Yeah. What it is, it's a sear disengagement issue. The sear is able to somehow disengage, allowing the firing pin to come forward, but it's not the trigger pulling itself.
Sure.
And
I mean, of course, it's a concern. It's a little bit of a concern if it can happen. You don't want to drop your pistol, but realistically, to drop it in such a way that it lands that way. Now, a late breaking development in the story is that SIG came out, they put out a press release and said that they will be happy to, if you are concerned about it, you can send your firearm back to them and they will do a...
There are so many other firearms out there with such worse issues. Oh my God.
Well, SIG will replace the trigger with a lighter trigger or whatever to ease people's concerns. It's voluntary. It's not like a mandatory recall or anything like that. But if you own a SIG P320 and you're concerned, you can send it back to SIG. So I think the big story about this was that this is the pistol that the Army has selected for their new duty pistol,
right?
A version of this,
right.
So that's why people. But since then, a bunch of memes have come out, and maybe I'll show some of them on the show here in a minute.
But I mean, like I said, and I'm not a pistol guy. That's not what I concentrate on. I know how to use them. I'm a pretty good pistol shot, but I'm a long range shooter and stuff like that. But I don't understand. It's not that big a deal. I mean, it could be, I guess, but in some certain. But you give me a hammer big enough, and I can make any gun go off.
Yeah. Well, I think it's there are some conspiracy theories out there. Steve mentioned it.
Well, who did this testing?
I don't know, these guys.
Yeah, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just it's a question of
it looks like they did a thorough job of the testing,
sure,
within their means to do the testing. But the conspiracy theory I was talking about, some people are saying that Glock is behind this whole problem with Sig.
There's a lot of conspiracy with Glock about that stuff right now. I mean, they're in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
They've got a lot going on. My real question about the whole military, the Army gun purchase thing is, what's wrong with the 9 bajillion Berettas that we've got that work fine? It's the same cartridge.
Yeah, the Beretta M9 is a fantastic pistol, well made, heavy duty. It'll take a beating and keep on shooting. There's no reason to replace it, I don't think. So maybe a little of this is the reason why.
I don't know.
Hey, so you're not a fan of pistols. I know you're not necessarily a big fan of the black rifle, the AR.
I'm a fan of pistols in circumstances.
Okay. Well, tell me what you think about this latest trend in AR-15s with the magwells. These companies are coming out with these custom magwells for the lower receiver that are shaped like and designed like these old medieval knight helmets. What do you think about that? I mean, it doesn't really serve a practical purpose. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't
serve a purpose. It's along the lines of most AR stuff. It's not practical.
I mean, would you like that on your rifle? What about you, Steve? Would you like that on your rifle? I mean, it's just too gaudy. It's just too dumb. I mean, it's just dumb.
I'm not a fan, I gotta say.
Hey, and that does it for the news. That means it's time to get into the gunsmithing job of the week.
It's time for the gunsmithing job of the week.
Last week we featured a couple of SKSs. One of them was mine that had some issues. I guess maybe a good percentage of my firearms are all messed up, because this week the gunsmithing job of the week has to do with my Rock Island M5 pump action shotgun. From the first time I purchased it, well, since I've owned it, it's been kind of finicky when it comes to shooting, with reliability. Mm-hmm. Maybe every third or fourth shot, it just goes click, right? So we took it out, and I'm going to show a quick video. Now, I gave the gun to you, the shotgun to you. I described what the problem was. Normally, the problem happens just with target ammo, mostly target ammo. Slugs and double-aught buck, it shoots fine. Home defense, it shoots pretty well. So I gave you the shotgun. You put a few rounds in it, and it worked for you. Yep, look at that. 3 rounds. And you said...
I fixed it.
Yeah. And that's always seems to be the case, right? When you give somebody, something's broken, you give it to somebody, they touch it, all of a sudden it works. Mm-hmm. But after a few more rounds, we were able to replicate the problem. And upon further inspection of the shotgun, you were able to identify what was wrong.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a couple of things going on with it. So when we lock up the shotgun, it doesn't lock up the same every time. And I noticed this when we were shooting it. There's a lot of play in where the bolt locks up, and then locking it up at different.
Like a different angle it goes in.
Yeah, it kind of goes in a different angle. The bolt's free to kind of float around. But the main thing that I noticed was when we looked at the shells, we saw that the primers are being hit off center. And I mean, not just a little bit, I mean way off center,
right,
almost to the edge. So when we looked at the bolt, actual interaction of the bolt with the shells, what we were seeing was on the bolt face itself, you can see a ring where the shell actually sits. And the firing pin is drilled, the hole for the firing pin is drilled off center to where the shell actually sits in the chamber.
Yeah. Now, when I made the purchase of that shotgun, it's a low-end shotgun. It's not very expensive, a couple $100. I had heard and read that Rock Island did not have the best reputation for their quality control.
It's hit or miss. Their stuff works, 99% of the time.
Maybe. They're home of the $400 1911. I don't know what that tells you.
Which can be a really nice 1911 with some work.
Yeah, I have a friend that had one.
Right.
But in this particular case, I purchased this shotgun, because I thought to myself, how wrong could you go with a 12-gauge shotgun? You know what I mean? A pump action.
They're pretty simple.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, my best friend, Carmelita, she has the same exact shotgun. Works perfectly. But in my case, no, a little quality control.
Well, that's the question here. It's the quality control, and that's what you're going to see with different manufacturers. And the cheaper the shotgun, the less quality control, and the materials, and you're going to see some differences like that. You pay a lot for a shotgun, you can guarantee that quality control coming out of the factory is going to be a lot better.
You definitely expect that when you're paying good money. And I knew I was rolling the dice with it. Now,
you just happened to get a lemon.
I did get a lemon, unfortunately.
But there's an upside.
Yep. In a late-breaking development to this story, I went online and found that Rock Island does offer a limited lifetime warranty, and this appears to be covered under their warranty.
Right.
So we're going to try to send it in, and I think that's another good story to follow here on the show is we can report back on their customer service and if they were able to repair it or replace it or whatever the case may be. So Rock Island Armory, we're putting the screws to the nails on this one.
Yeah, we'll see what they do.
And with that one, it's time to get into you show me yours, I'll show you mine.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
I came into the shop last week and Steve was talking about an AK-47 something or other. I wasn't really paying attention. You know, my ex-wife used to say I was a bad listener or something like that. I really wasn't paying that much attention to her. But anyhow, so you had called me during the week then following up saying that we were going to go shoot on Sunday to test fire an AK-47 or
and
something.
the thing that the disconnect in our conversation was that we needed your AK.
Yeah, I didn't get that because I was like, great, we're going to go shoot AK-47s. And I actually just threw this in the car in my bag because I thought, well, you're bringing an AK, I'll bring an AK. And as it ends up, this was the project.
Right.
Because Jeff Axelson of Axelson Tactical came into your shop last week, and he was, I guess he's touring this part of the country, traveling to gun shops.
Really nice guy, yeah. Came in and we didn't know who he was when he walked through the door, honestly, and started talking to him and found out who he was. Great guy.
And Steve says that the topic of conversation turned to AK-47s, and he said Steve said Jeff went out to the car and he brought back a muzzle brake.
The Kraken.
The Kraken,
right,
is the muzzle brake for the AK-47. You can see it right here.
Yeah.
And we're going to play a little video of our shooting, and you'll see a very clear difference. This first clip here is going to be of the AK-47. Now, this is a Polish underfold with a folding stock, and these first shots here are with the original muzzle brake that came with it, just that little canted one. And you see how much play there is in the front of the...
Yeah, it really kicks. No AK has a lot of kick to it. You know what I mean? It's an AK, it's gas operated, 7.6239, but this one, it was moving around quite a bit.
And watch the difference. Now putting the... hang on a second. I told you I was never going to wear white socks
Pause.
again. Yeah.
Let me just point it out.
I told you I was never going to wear white socks again, but since that wasn't, I went ahead and went overboard. But today I put on, some colored socks.
He won't
again.
wear them to the shop anymore, though.
No, not to the shop and not to the show. So now we have the muzzle brake on there, and then how easy was it to put the muzzle brake on? You don't even need
Very
any tools.
easy. No, this thing is detinted for this little plunger. It's a spring-loaded plunger. You just push it in, twist off your muzzle device, twist this one on, and it'll line up itself with the plunger. It
was super easy to put on, and then the difference was night and day.
Yeah, I mean it took 5 seconds to change this thing out.
The recoil was dropped to almost nothing, and prior to having this muzzle brake on there, I didn't really enjoy shooting this firearm that much because look, the buttstock is not very comfortable to shoot. It's just a hard metal. It's got like a two-piece here. It was not comfortable to shoot. But with this muzzle brake, the Kraken, it was awesome to shoot. It was really awesome. The recoil was very little.
The recoil went to nothing, and you could stay on target really well with it.
Yeah, our expert shooter, Steve here, watch him put rounds down range. Look at that. That front of that rifle is not even moving at all. And I went to Axelson Tactical website. You can find it at axelsonUSA.com. And they have an impressive lineup of products. It's not, they don't just do muzzle brakes. They do custom rifles, custom pistols. They do a bunch of other accessories. I was really impressed. And I highly recommend people to go check out axelsonUSA.com. A great product. Look at that shooting style there.
Yeah, it's pretty weak. I got to work on that.
So overall, yeah, I mean, this is not a paid endorsement.
No, we don't get anything out of this at all. We just really like the company. We like the guy. We like the product. And I don't endorse stuff I don't like.
Yeah,
you know?
Me neither. And it's a great muzzle brake. If you own an AK-47, it makes a big difference. It definitely will increase your enjoyment of shooting your.
It increases some other stuff too, though.
Oh, so I don't know why. I'm going to try to get you to wear more ear pro or wear ear pro more often. But yeah, you fired it, and that's probably what, about 60% louder, 50% louder.
It's loud. Don't forget your ear pro.
Yeah, very loud. All right, hey, our next item on the you show me yours, I'll show you mine is this little squirrel up here. I went into a local retail store that's going out of business, and I found this little target squirrel. The packaging claimed that this is a spinner target, right? A little weight goes down here on the bottom. It mounts on a little aluminum bar, and then when you shoot it, it spins around, right? The packaging said that this was good for any caliber from 17 caliber, which you would expect, 17 and 22. I mean, it looks like it. Mm-hmm. But the packaging claimed it was good for up to 50 caliber. Now, just looking at this little guy, maybe I could give him a name. There's just no way that you can shoot this with a 50 caliber and have it, stay intact.
I don't know.
So let me show you the video clip. Nick and I went out and shot. We had planned to shoot it with a 22, 223, and then ultimately a 303. I don't own a 50 caliber. The largest calibers I have are like 7.62 by 54 and 303 and 8 millimeter.
Well, we actually came up with our own thing based on this. It ties into a whole nother thing. We're going to get another one of these guys.
We are. Let's look at what we did this last weekend with this guy. So here's Nick shooting it with a 22.
Sometimes.
And that's the way it works. When you hit it, it spins around. We're shooting it here with an AR-15. And with the AR-15...
It's not even moving. Oh, there we go.
Boom. Okay, so the problem with the design of this thing, even with the 223, it held up well, the rubber piece, the squirrel. But if you hit anywhere down near the bottom of this target, it's just going to be shot to shreds. It's a 223 will rip this little aluminum bar, and that's what happened. Now, we set it back up. And we went ahead, not on the original bar that it came with because it was broken, but we set it up and we did shoot it with a 303 round, and you could see there the result of the 303. And just based on what I see there, I think a 50 cal is going to tear it in half in one shot. So you're saying what?
I'm saying it will probably put a sizable hole in it, but I think it'll hold together.
I disagree. I think one round through anywhere on this squirrel, it's going to cut it in half. Yep, it's a gentleman's bet.
A gentleman's bet. We'll try it out. We'll put it in the next show.
Okay, so we're going to go out and shoot not this squirrel because this one's broken.
There's a lot of hype about the 50 cal that it doesn't do quite the damage that people think. I'll show you.
I don't know. I think the 50 cal will win over.
It does not, despite popular belief, rip off limbs just from being in proximity and all that stuff. I think it'll put a hole in it, but I think it will remain intact.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
We'll see.
Hey, with that, it's time to slide into the gun of the week, and we got a good one this week. Now, for the gun of the week, you have got a fantastic promotion going here in the shop, Drake Fine Sporty Arms, 4000 North Mesa Street, El Paso, Texas. You are giving away a rifle.
We are. We're giving one away. So this is a Remington 700 SPS Varmint that I've done some work to. It's got one of my custom muzzle brakes on it, and I'll hold it down.
Yeah,
here.
take a look at that. This is one of Scott's.
We'll get a close-up of it.
Absolutely beautiful.
So this guy, the action's been smoothed up. It's a really nice rifle. I rubber-coated the stock. I don't know if you know anything about these SPSs.
Can I feel it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. But those, the way that the stock comes from the factory, it's kind of, it's rubber, or not rubber, it's plastic. It's kind of slick. It's not very tactile. So what I did was I rubber coated the stock just to give it some more grip. I put a Timney trigger in this thing, and it's adjusted down to a good hunting weight.
What caliber did you say it was?
This is a 308.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah, so we're going to give this sucker away.
What do people have to do to be entered to win that rifle?
If you come in, you buy a product or a service at the store, drop your name in the fishbowl, and we do have a literal fishbowl.
Yeah, I see it over there.
So drop your name in the fishbowl. We'll dig around in the bowl at the end of. And also, if you go to our webpage, our Facebook page, pinned to the top of our Facebook page is the advertisement.
Okay.
Advertising this guy.
Okay.
So share that from our Facebook page, and your name gets dropped in the hat too.
So just search Facebook for Drake Fine Sporting Arms, or go to dfsa.us, and you'll find the Facebook page. All you have to do is share the promotion.
Just share the promotion, and we'll put your name in the hat for the drawing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Or come into Drake Fine Sporting Arms of El Paso, make a purchase here, buy some ammunition, buy anything, and your name gets put in the fishbowl.
Right.
That's a $750 value, probably not including the custom work.
Well, no, that doesn't. I mean, the price of the gun doesn't really reflect what you're getting. I mean, this is what I've got it out for sale for right now, just because it's been sitting around. It's a great gun. I need to get rid of it.
Okay. I would love to be entered to win it, but I think I'm ineligible, because if I do win it...
You can absolutely enter as many times as you want,
people will think the fix is in.
Here's the thing. If I pull your name out of the bowl, I got to throw it away.
Yeah.
So you can put as many entry forms as you want, but I've got to throw them away when I find them.
Oh, man, I would love to win that thing. That's a great promotion, Scott. Yeah. Excellent. And with that, our time is up once again. We want to say thank you for joining us for another great episode, another great episode of Straight Shooting Firearms Talk Show. We'll see you all next time for myself and Scott Drake.
And myself.
And yourself. What that
myself
guy?
in her house by herself.
Herself was in herself
by herself.
Hey, we'll see you next time.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Straight Shooting, when we take another shot.